The chair of the Department of Anesthesiology at UCSD, she's a brilliant woman. We've had numerous conversations where, like, can we get people intentional? Like, that's somebody's best friend down there.
Yeah.
That's somebody's kid, right?
Wow.
That's somebody's mom laying on the table. Can we set an intention? Can we get in our hearts? The best outcome. Can we connect? Can we make sure we're present? We make sure that we have this person's best interest in mind. And by the way, this person actually believes 100% that their outcomes in surgical procedures will be better. That's why she's doing it. She's not doing it to just bring in the wu-wei, whales in space stuff. That's not it. She's not, that's not it. She's doing it because she actually believes that the efficacy of outcomes will improve because you got a group of people that are together, right? They're one mind, one heart, right?
I'm so glad you said that, because about a year ago, Martha, my wife, had to do an operation in Mexico, and to remove some stuff that was not needed in her body. And, it's a little nerve-wracking going in the operating room and this and that. And she asked me to come in there right before and kind of hold her hand before stuff happened. The doctor did something really beautiful. He was like, the two nurses were there and it was him, and he said, we're going to set an intention. We're going to pray right now. And for 2 minutes, it wasn't like this long, like, kumbaya thing or something. We're sitting down for an hour meditating or whatever. It was for 2 minutes. He closed his eyes and he was breathing deeply and he was saying his intention. He was speaking in Spanish, so I was picking up a little bit, but he was like, my intention is this is going to go perfect, that Martha's going to have a full recovery, that this is going to go smoothly.
So important for the patient.
That we're going to be guiding our hands confidently. Just speaking this calmly for a minute or two before an operation, I could feel myself calmer. I could see Martha being calmer and more relaxed. Surrendering and trusting it, which is the hardest thing.
Hardest thing.
And I was like, wow, I've never experienced that before. And I don't know if that was the more of the practice in Mexico. It might just be this doctor who is really awesome. But imagine having an intention for 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's what makes him an awesome doctor.
Exactly.
Right? So that's the new model. That's the new model, right?
That's
care,
cool.
Putting care back in healthcare, right? So you can't be that when you're struggling just to get, insurance validation. You can't get that when you're 7 minutes per patient. It's very difficult. So I think there's an opening where people want something else.
Yes.
But if, 3 types of stress: physical, chemical, and emotional, 3 types of balance: physical, chemical, and emotional, you get somebody more physically balanced. Okay, what is that? Exercise, aerobics, yoga, massage, acupuncture, chiropractic, whatever it is to get your body back in physical balance.
Yes.
Then there's chemical balance, right? Take your vitamins, eat well, take your minerals, watch your blood sugar levels, hangovers, whatever, pesticides, pollutants, all that stuff creates a chemical imbalance. But most people can do the right things to get their body physically and chemically in balance. But 75 to 90% of every person that walks into a doctor's office in the Western world walks in because of psychological and emotional stress. That's 9 out of 10 people, or 8 out of 10 people, are showing up at their doctor's office because of their emotional responses to the things that are taking place in their life. And the emotional response that they're having is actually weakening the body, right? So we have a coalition. By the way, I didn't want to do this, but we had so many physicians and so many doctors and healthcare providers that are in our community saying, we can't, now we know we got to figure out a way to bring this to our patients. So we have this coalition called the Inner Health Coalition. We've done 8 trainings for doctors and healthcare providers. We just did our first in-person training in San Diego. Amazing group of people.
That's cool.
And again, the language has to be teased out. You have to make sense to the patient.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get you physically in balance. Let's get you chemically in balance. I don't care what you use. I don't care if you vitamins, minerals, pharmaceuticals. I don't care what it is. I don't care what you do to get physically, what exercise you do, whatever it is. Just have something that intentionally is going to be something that'll be good for you. And now let's address the elephant in the room, right? Which is your emotional self-regulation. And so one of the things we did is we created these meditations for patients, while they're waiting for their doctor. Instead of sitting
good.
there and scrolling through things,
Anxious. Yeah,
you got to go in and you got to either create heart coherence, brain coherence, heart and brain coherence, and it's become really popular. People can actually practice them on their own, and think about it. If you react emotionally, and emotions are a record of the past, it makes sense as long as you feel that emotion, your body's going to go back to the same health condition because it's believing it's in the past, right? So, we figured out a way to create a language for healthcare practitioners to take it a little bit further.
You said emotions are a record of the past. How do we make emotions a record of the future?
Yeah, so emotions are a record of the past. When a person feels an emotion that's connected to their past, it's entirely possible over time that their body's going to wind up with the same health condition because they're living by the same emotion, and the emotion is the information from the environment that's signaling the genes. So then the same exact thing. How many times do you want to open your heart to say, okay, let's just think about checks and balances here. I do this a lot at the end of my day. Okay, what part of my day was I living in an elevated emotional state?
Yeah.
And what part of my day was I not?
Reactive state. Yeah.
Or just not present,
Yeah.
or whatever that is. So to remember the future, you would have to you'd have to come out of your resting state. You'd have to make a decision with such firm intention to change that the amplitude of that choice carried a level of energy that caused your body to immediately respond to your mind.